Hello, and welcome to the next part of the onboarding series for V-Ray for Grasshopper. This series is dedicated to demonstrating how you can visualize your algorithmic designs without ever leaving Rhino's powerful parametric modeling software. Make sure you're caught up with previous episodes in which we cover other fundamental topics. You can find the videos in the playlist to the right. In this episode, you'll get an overview of how to use V-Ray bitmap and set the different types of V-Ray material components. They're all accessible from the Materials panel of the V-Ray tab. Let's start by working on the facades panels. First, navigate to their corresponding VGeo component. Currently, the material used is V-Ray material preset. Let's change the preset from paint to metal. Now let's redo the material from scratch. Create a V-Ray Materials Simple component from the Materials panel and replace the current Material Preset component. Materials Simple has the most commonly used V-Ray material parameters. All of these parameters have their values set by default. In the V-Ray Materials Simple component, you have control over the basic parameters to recreate most shaders you might need: diffuse, reflections, IOR, and emission. The diffuse parameter requires a color or a texture as an input. Create a color swatch, connect it to the diffuse input, and set it to a grayish shade. The reflections parameter controls the intensity of reflections. The value input is a color, with 100 being true white, resulting in maximum reflections, while 0 being true black, resulting in no reflections at all. Create a color swatch, connect it to reflections, and set it to a light gray shade. The glossiness parameter controls the sharpness of reflections. It takes any value from 0 to 1, with 1 resulting in sharp reflections and decreasing it resulting in blurrier reflections. Set a value from 0 to 1 with 2 digits after the decimal point. I'll set it to 0.75. IOR stands for Index of Refraction and is also used for reflections. The most realistic results are with input values set from 1.3 to 15. You can set a value with 1 digit after the decimal point and connect it to the IOR. In this case, I think a value of 5 will look great. The opacity parameter specifies how opaque or transparent the object is. It can take a color or a value. White, or 1, gives an opaque look, and 0, or black, gives a fully transparent one. Lastly, the emission parameter will introduce light emission with color or bitmap. Once you're happy with the configuration, you can save this material as VR matte file from the context menu. VR matte is a universal material file format for V-Ray materials. Let's move on to the roof geometry. Create a V-Ray Material Simple component from the Material panel, then connect it to the roof geometry's corresponding VGeo component. This time, instead of using a color, we'll use a texture for the diffuse input. Create a V-Ray bitmap from the Materials panel and connect it to the diffuse input. To select a bitmap, click Show Controls and then double-click on File. To control the tiling, we'll use the Repeat parameter. Create a panel component and type in 50, 50, 0, then connect it to the repeat input. The rotation parameter controls the rotation of the bitmap. Let's leave it to its default settings in this case. Next, let's find the glazing geometry and corresponding VGeo component and use a previously created material. Choose the V-Ray material from the file icon, double-click on the loader, and navigate to any previously saved VR matte file and load it. Find the building columns and building floor geometries and their corresponding VGeo components. Next, create a V-Ray material from the project component. Double-clicking on it will expand all the materials present in this specific Rhino project file. Now, select your preferred material. Lastly, I'll set up the roof's solar panels by using a suitable material from Chaos Cosmos. Let's find the solar panel's geometry and corresponding VGeo component. I've downloaded it in advance, so I will create a V-Ray material by clicking Project and select it from the Rhino project file material list. Great job! You've reached the end of this tutorial. I hope you've gained a better understanding of how to use different types of V-Ray materials, where to find them, and how to set, load, and save them for further use. Don't forget to check out the next videos explaining how to set up cameras, as well as render stills and animations. See you there!